Okay guys, welcome to another session. This is coding with AI, and this is supposed to be 103B because the last time we did 103. I'll just say that should be an A. That was talking about giving me your experience with AI. What has been your experience? And then we shared quite a lot of things in the other session. So today we're going to be looking at debugging with AI. Debugging with AI. What's it all about? I gave you guys an assignment, and I'm sure you guys have tried to work with it. You guys didn't come with questions, so it means you guys are fine. But however, I know maybe you didn't try it out or you got so busy that you guys ignored it. But anytime you have, you can always go through that experience of trying to build an app using AI. This is one of those things that you will surely eventually get into, which is to try to debug an app that you've written. Debugging is trying to find what is wrong with your system. A bug itself is something not that you didn't intentionally put there, but is affecting the system. So in programming, they call that thing a bug. So the ability or the process of removing that bug is called debugging. So by the end of this session, you should be able to understand how to use the AI tool, effectively to identify, to analyze, and resolve bugs in your code. This the fact that we are programming, we are human being. Bugs can be introduced to the program for the fact that we are humans. We make mistakes. So mistakes are eventually bugs, and then error in the system. Errors might be the fact that the system is not working the way it's supposed to work, or is producing an error through maybe based on user input. So these most times are classified into the same place. Now, so AI can detect bugs in various ways. So we've already understand what bugs are. What are so let me check out my audio. Okay, I think my audio is back on now. So I was talking about that the fact that we have different type of bugs and error that could occur within your program. The first one I've identified is syntax error. Syntax error means that you are not conforming with what the specification of the programming language. We have several programming languages, so I'll be using Python as a form of example. So in Python, there are ways in which we are supposed to write program. So this is a Python program that we we did at some point. So since we're in AI class, let's just write a program using AI. Okay, so create a program to do matrix. So this is a mass program. So let's just have that there. And then I want just to have a sample program for you guys to see, and you can see what I mean by a syntax error bug. So while that is going on, we have, I thought this will happen. I shouldn't change the slide when I'm generating code. So if you try to move outside what you're looking at, I think it will break that thing that it's trying to do. I'm sure you guys know matrix. Matrix is one, I think it's simple. Calculus is the one that is difficult. So you have 2 by 2 matrix, 3 by 3 matrix, 2 by 3 matrices. I just have to throw something complex so that we don't need to read through the code. So I think that has finished generating that line of code. We can just accept, and we have that here. Remember I told you about rows and column that you have in matrices. So all this one is doing its own thing. What the point is not for us to read through the code. I just want to have a bunch of codes and then do all sorts of things there. So syntax error is when you are doing something like this. There's nothing like so. What you've done like this has implemented something different in this line. So there's an error here, even though the browser or the IDE did not catch the error, because it's not an error that might be detectable while you write the code. While you are trying to put a dot, you put a comma there. So this is like a syntax error. So some of the error can be caught. Maybe you do something like this. Yeah, this one is something that has been caught by the IDE. That's the environment you are using, automatically caught the error for you, even though it's still a bug. Because if you are not using a smart tool like this, that's the IDE, and you're using a plain text editor, you might never get to catch that particular error. So AI can, assist you in fixing bugs that maybe you introduced or sometimes it introduces into your code. Believe it or not, AI also writes bugs. Yeah, I see a lot of them. So they also, once in a while, though it's not like it's an everyday thing. Now, another error that you will also, which is very common, is logical error. So the question is, what is logical error? Logical error is incorrect condition or misuse of variable. Logical error, that is one of the most common one. So you want to solve a problem. Most of us we are very versatile with shopping carts and what have you, right? And in shopping carts, you need to add to carts. You're adding item to your cart. Imagine at the end when you've added your item to the cart and you want to decide if the person, when he checks out, if you want it to be free delivery, or if it's over a particular amount. Let's say the amount is over $100, it should be free delivery. If it is less than $100, the person should actually pay for delivery. So that's a logical conditional statement that you will write. You write a logical program to actually identify if the amount in the cart is more than a specific amount. This should happen. So if your program is not running in the correct format, like when the value is less, that's when it will give you free delivery, and when it's more, it's not giving you free delivery. So you have a bug in your system, and then AI can actually help you find that out. So one of the way you can do that is to actually question the code. So most times I did mention to you that you cannot question your code here. You can actually ask it to analyze your code. So if you come here and put a comment here, it can't do anything to analyze your code. The only way you can have your code analyzed is when you come inside this part and you can tell it to actually do some things for you in this code inside here. Now, let's say we have a program that, let's change this program. So I want to write a simple banking application. A simple banking application that credits and debits customers. So I did write one of this application in Python. So I wanted to do something like that for us. So this is a class. As you know, a class is a template for an object. And like I mentioned to you guys, this does not excuse you from learning programming, right? It does not excuse you from learning programming. You need to have that basic programming knowledge. Okay, so this is a banking account as it is, and it has gone ahead to do some various things for you. So they just came to me and said, okay, let me just write this. Let's even see if we can run it and see what it gets to do. From here, I know what it's trying to say. It's trying to present this for us to provide as an option so that we can either say create account, credit an account, debit an account, check balance, and exit. So it has done the due diligence for us. These are things that I'm sure by now you should be able to have, run a full code and you can see what's up with it. I'm interested in running the app to see what happens. So let's run this guy. Do I have Python on my system? Okay, so this is what happens when you run the app. It says simple banking application. You have a choice to do one or two things. So let's say we want to create an account. Account number is 34. Account name. Initial balance. Account has been created. So I can create another account, which is the option of what I want to do. Account 1. Account name, account number, Michael. This is the next person. Then initial balance for this person is 100, or let's say 0. So the next thing I want to do is credit. I want to credit somebody. So this is where I'm talking about the logical issue. So if your credit didn't work very well, maybe instead of you to be crediting somebody, you are debiting them. So account number to credit. I don't know if it's to credit or to debit is what I'm doing, but let me say I want to credit account number for Michael. And amount to credit. So new balance is 500. What about my initial balance is 0. So let me do another credit again. Credit is 2. And account number to credit 700. So my new balance should be 1, 2. So this is fairly working okay. So if you have a logical issue, might be the fact that your program worked wrongly. So we can actually program a wrong stuff into the system, and that's by introducing our own error ourselves. And how can you do that? Maybe in this place that is doing the choice of creating accounts. This is the choice of crediting someone's account. So in place where you're supposed to have greater than or less than, we can have the other way. So if you've done basic programming skills or knowledge, you will know that the place where you have greater or less than, that's where most of the issue sometimes comes in. So there's a credit stuff going on here, which is a function called by here. This does credit and this does debit. So I can do something like this. I've introduced an error, or rather a bug, into the system. So I want to tell the system to find the bug for me. Now this is a different window. I'll come here and tell it find the bug in my application. Because if you've written something yourself, there are chances that of course you will see an issue in what you've written. So, or there are chances that there might be bug in your program. So it has found the bug, and this is the bug that it found in the system. So I was able to find this one that we manually changed. And the reason why I found it was not because we're in the same environment. If you give this to any program or any AI, it's gonna actually find that bug for you. So this is a very easy one to do. And you can also do this for a more complex issue or more complex bug finding situation that you find yourself in, that you might find yourself in. Okay, so let's move on to next one, which is API or library misuse. This one you actually like this one, API or library misuse. So what is this all about? So this is about when you have let's say you have a payment gateway, one of you guys are doing payment interfacing, and let's say you are making payment with most of the payment gateway are well documented, but let's just say for some reason one was not properly documented. Apart from the fact that it was not documented, maybe you couldn't go through all the documentation for some reason. You could actually ask AI to go through those documentation for you and implement it properly. Yep. So this is talking about the errors or how to identify, how AI can identify bugs for you. So you have an AI that says this is what you're supposed to, or rather an API that says this is what you're supposed to use. API is application programming interface. That's how you interface to other programming language. Now that you've been able to, so I'm trying to identify or bring out example that we can use. So what I want to do now is I want to go to GitHub and randomly pick up a project that I think is not very popular. Just want to show you how cool it is. So it's a non-popular library, right? And what you can do is that once, as long as it is documented, you can tell AI to look at the documentation, you point it to where the documentation is, and then use it correctly. It can actually do that for you. So you know that maybe in the tool you are creating, you are building, and that tool, they ask you to use XYZ components. That tool, you require XY. You know that these XYZ components can do it for you, right? So how do you make sure that your program connects to the XYZ component? Is by pointing AI to the right place and then letting it do it for you. It will read the documentation and then implement the proper use case for you. So now this is me trying to look for a random project that we can actually do a test run on. I don't think I'm going to see something that we can actually quickly bring up online. Okay, so that's about this one. Most of the APIs I know, they are very popular, and AI would have scrubbed through those data and added to their template. And by the way, most times, in case you don't know, the tool that we're using called AI, they eventually go through all these data, all the documentation. Most ones that are online, they've already learned those tools and know those specifications. That's the same thing they did with any programming language. So they've gone to learn the specification of these programming languages, and they know how to present the data in which the the computer will understand. So it's not really a big deal for this programming language to do, or the AI learning model to do. So let's move on to the next thing that we have. So, and the next thing we want to go to is how to actually do a step-by-step walkthrough. You know, what's the process? Step-by-step debugging workflow with AI. How do you approach it? Now, most times it depends on the kind of error that you are going through or that you have in your own platform. So if the code, and then it will inspect it and fix the error. If it's a logical error, you understand where exactly that error is. I did mention of shopping carts, where you are trying to log out or check out. At the point that you're trying to check out, that's when the issue is occurring. So you can isolate your issue to that part. In the case of this account issue, if you've tested this program very well, you will notice that the issue will come here at some point, that you have the issue here. So you can easily tell your AI to fix this part. So fix this code. Now, fix this code I did, you will see what happens. It has fixed, the right value there. So notice our answer on the right hand side. So it has fixed that code. Using the right prompt also help. Most times I use fix this code. I'm too lazy to tell you what to do, but exactly, if you have exactly what it is you are trying to correct, it's very good to describe what it is that the problem is and what you want it to fix before it starts using its own initiative to fix things. Another thing again is you have to ask specific questions. I did mention that before. Now you have to ask specific questions when you are trying to solve a particular issues, especially when you are in ChatGPT. Remember the disadvantage of this platform here. The ChatGPT has not been open, it's open in somewhere else. Most time you need to have it hanging there. Whenever you are doing your code on this platform, that's where you can, if you want code to be written directly, you can put it inside here. If you want explanation, you can just go to ChatGPT and then get those explanation. So implement a test API suggestion. So you can also provide, I think that will be in some of the classes we are coming in. That's about testing. Let me check if we have testing as part of the syllabus. Let me quickly check if testing is there. Okay, I don't think testing is there, but one of the way in making sure that you are debugging your program is to test. So you can actually write test case. That's another topic itself. That's another topic itself on its own. So what is test case or test cases? These are strategies in which you use to make sure that your program are working correctly. Yeah. So we won't go into this part entirely, but you can actually ask AI to write tests for whatever code that you've written to check if it's working. So it's also a form of debugging the results or the code that has been written for you. So test is very important. Then the other thing that ChatGPT has been doing lately is that it tries to explain what it has done for you and tells you why it works. So if you tell it to do something for you, at the end it will tell you why that thing works. Don't always believe it. So because I told you guys before now that AI is 50-50. It works sometimes, it doesn't work sometimes. So it doesn't escape or it doesn't excuse the parts where you have to learn. So it doesn't excuse that. So the learning part is still essential. Okay. Now, the next part I want to talk about is maybe we should go into the unit testing thing. I think the unit testing thing is very important. Let's talk about unit testing. I think this is a topic in which this is the class in which we will actually do unit testing. AI for unit testing suggestion. So what's this all about? AI can help you write unit tests that ensure your bug is truly fixed, and then it does it repetitively, as in you can pass so many parameters to it and it does it very well. So what I want to do now is I want to we have a banking app, then we need to create a test for it to see if really is working. The idea of a test is that you feed in some parameter and then you have a expected result. So this is very, I'm looking for a way to give you guys the breakdown, because tests are a different breed on its own, or they have a different platform, on its own. So I'll try as much as possible to cover it as brief as I can. So I would not say write a test case for, so I will just drop this guy inside here. Okay, so it will be able to do this. And let's see what it does. There are several things it can do. First of all, it can create another document, and it will call it main_test. It can do that. It can inject a test case separately inside this, but let's see what it's going to do. And then once it does that, I will explain what's going on. You see how it works. So testing is very essential when you are trying to debug your app, especially when you are doing something that it's going to be used by a lot of people. You need to make sure that whatever it is that you have there, it's what it's supposed to be. Okay, so now that it's doing this for us, so it has actually built a test case for us. So you look at what I told you guys, that it's going to create a different folder or file for us. So it has created a special file, which I'm going to apply. So accept, and we have that. This is the test case. So let me try and explain what the test case does. What we did when we tried to use this the first time, let me show you what I was doing here. While I did Python 3 and did main.py, I was doing manual testing. There's no way you can actually manual test all parts of your code, especially if you're running, if you have very big application. For a large company, they do something like this that you just see written out. Not just unit tests. There are several kind of tests. Like I said, this is just a very brief lesson to explain tests. Test itself is a very big course. In fact, you have a whole role for people. They call them testers. So they test code. That's what they do for a living. So you are just learning a fraction of what they do. So normally, if you write your program, you will kind of test it like this, which is, ideal. But for a large system, we want to write a program that does your test. Now, guess what? This is the unit test stuff, and we create a class to do unit testing. I'm not teaching you Python. I'm just trying to show you what's going on. Now, the first thing it does is that it does the creating of bank accounts. It's going to test several parts, by the way, part of the system. So this is testing if creating of bank accounts works, right? And then it does all these things. And the idea is that after you fed it with data, you need to make sure that whatever you do equates to the results. So let me explain what that means. Now, if you create an account like this, it must actually check that the account name matches what you provided. You said bank account is 11111. Is it equal to 1111? You said the name should be this. Is it equal to this? You said the balance that you put is so and so. Does it equate to that? Now, of course, this one is going to fail. I suppose, okay, no, it's going to pass because it's 0 by default. So this is when it has data. So let's run it and then see what we have as our results. Okay, so let's call the guy. And by the way, running it just run once and for all. It doesn't require you to do any much work. Python 3 tests bank accounts.py. Okay, there's a typo. So as you can see, let me make this available. it ran 4 tests in so seconds and everything was great. Like everything was cool. Now let's introduce a bug into the system. So we introduce a bug here where we have the credit and debit, the same thing we did the other time. Instead of having less than or equal to, I just did less than. Here I did greater than. So let's see if our test is gonna pass again. So do you see what I hope this one is? Let's see what happened. Is that hope is not, that's not a syntax error. Okay, let's read it together and let's see what happened. So it said that debit must be positive. So it had an error. This is not programming error. This is that the test failed. Debit amount must be positive, right? We did something, we messed up with our, the test is working correctly, but when we tested, the test results was a failure. That's what it means. So it failed to test credits. Our test credit didn't work and our test debit didn't work. So let's fix one. Let's fix our test debit. So this is the correct answer for test debit. So if you run it again, our test credit will work, but only our test debit will have issue. Apparently both of them failed. Let me make sure that oh, okay. This is supposed to be facing this side. So let me try that again. So as you can see, only test credit failed while the other one passed. Now imagine that this, let me now fix this one to point here. So this is correct now. Everything is correct now. Imagine that this bank application, this is a banking software, so to say, big banking software. And then you keep adding stuff to it, right? You keep updating it, you keep adding more features. Anytime you make a modification to the banking app, guess what you are going to do? You are supposed to run a test bank account. And the idea is that to catch any bug that is going to happen. So what did you notice? I use AI to generate my banking application. I use AI to what? To create my test case as well. And that's what this whole thing is all about, debugging. So let's move on to the next thing. And that is handling error AI can solve. Handling errors AI can solve. So let's see that. Okay, reality check. AI is imperfect. AI is not perfect. Everything it has access to is what has existed before. Everything it has access to, it doesn't really do its own thinking. Well, that's open for a debate itself. So context can be misunderstood. Context can be misunderstood. I hope you understand the meaning of context. Context is what you're trying to do. It can be misunderstood. It can give generic advice, which might not solve your problem. To just, once it gets to a point that it can't see anything to do, it will just stick and then gives you one particular advice. So sometimes it can suggest a fix that does not actually tallies to what it is that you're doing. It gives you, a fix that does not match what your entire project is all about. Something out of the blues. Why are you canceling my my fix? So just fixes that does not match your, let's say, context or project, because it's only you that know what you want to do, right? You can't give it all your idea automatically, as it is. It doesn't have that bandwidth to retain all your problem and then solve it for you. Like I mentioned in the first classes, you have to break what you want to do bit by bit and give it chunk by chunk by chunk by chunk by chunk. If you are building a banking application, you will just tell it to handle small parts gradually and then you couple everything together. I think when I answer this question, we'll get to look at it. Okay. Now the last thing we need to fall into, that's this one, is handling error AI can't handle. Okay, let me see, make sure that I'm following through. Okay, so this is the last pointer that we want to work on. Now, when you get to that point that you have, a situation whereby you are stuck, you don't have solution, how do you make AI resolve your code for you? One of the ways you can do this is to reproduce the error manually, step by step. I think I've fallen into this scenario before, whereby AI can't find through what I'm doing. I have to find a way to manually get to that point and figure it out myself. I tell people, don't turn off your brain because you are using AI. You are still the super AI in charge of the whole thing, right? So don't turn off your brain. So when AI fails, what do you do? When AI fails, what do you do? So you have to reproduce the error manually yourself. Find a way to reproduce that thing that you're trying to resolve yourself. So you can also use built-in debugging tool. Although this is for professionals. So when you are working with any of these tools, there's a debugging tool. If you can see on my screen, there's a tool that is called debugging here. So it's a little bit advanced, right? But I don't think what you are doing now will require you to. It's actually for advanced people. Now this session is for advanced people, but I think with what I've explained so far, and as you use it, you get to learn the program, you'll be able to handle some of these things. So another thing is to read documentation. I think I need to warn you guys on this one. Read documentation. AI may be outdated or trained on older version. This one, it happens very often. Very, very often. So if you tell it to do something for you, when the AI model was done, maybe it was done like 2 years ago, or it had 1 year data, right? And the platform you're trying to use is currently on the latest version. AI will still be looking at the old version that it had. The AI you're using does not have live access to live data, kind of. It's got trained on an old data a year or 2 years ago. So be very mindful that one of the things that make B seems like you can't solve that problem is because the AI is using an old or outdated documentation. So be also mindful of that. Yeah, very important. So when you are doing stuff, look at the version that it's using. I stumble on that quite a lot. This one says seek human review. So more like you need to also talk to an experienced person. So XP. So let me use developer. You need to also talk to an experienced developer, because it might get to a point that, hey, you're not even understanding what you are seeing. And this part is very crucial. You also need to do your own small work. It's not just that anything you just send it to people or to experienced developer to look for you. You also need to do your own little work. It must be very, very, difficult to solve for you to say you want to seek an expert opinion. Most things are very easy to do. I can assure you, most things you can actually put it back to AI to solve it for you. But when you're trying to do complex stuff, yeah, you can seek human or experienced developer opinion on those things. And then finally, which is very kind of going back in circles, is use AI again. So after you've done this one, you can go back and use it again. So let me give you an idea of what I do so that it will help you. So let me just say by clearing the context. So let me explain what I mean. So let's say you've been asking the AI tool, you guys have been on a particular thing. You've been asking it for quite some time to do something for you, and it's been messing up. It has even scattered the whole thing, right? What you can do is if you've tailored the issue to a particular thing, you can clear your context and restart from the beginning and just ask it again. It will, because most times when you've asked it too much things, it's jumbling up your, in fact, it can even bring up conversation that you've had like hours ago and mix it with a new thing that it's telling you now. So most times it might just require you to clear the context and refresh your request again, your prompt again, and it will just fix the whole thing. So that is what we have for today's class. I will answer these questions that was said. Before I answer that, do we have any question? If we have any question, this is the best time for this question to come in. This is the best time for the question to come up.
No, I don't have any question.
So if you're interested in our WhatsApp group, I have a WhatsApp group. Go to the link on my bio. You're gonna see our WhatsApp information there. Go to the link on my bio. So let's go ahead and answer the question that we have here. Now the question is, are we able to create or reuse components? Now the answer is yes. You can create and reuse. In fact, that's the major purpose of there's something they say, dry. Do not repeat yourself. That's the meaning of dry, right? It's very common in programming language. DRY, dry. Do not repeat yourself. So imagine you create a login component, right? You create a login component. You can create as many components as you want to. Your OTP components, and many stuff. You can create as many things as you want. In fact, most of the things that we do as developer is that we are riding on other things that people have done. So forget that you want to create your own. Most times you can just pick what people have created and just boom, you are riding on it. So this answer is yes. And I know when you saw me create our login interface, we did it from scratch. It looks so, well, it looks so futuristic. But again, imagine you want to do like for 10 people. Are you going to be doing that every now and then? Why can't you just get a login stuff and put it? So there are reasons why you have to redesign it almost every time. Reason number one, people want a taste of their own branding inside what they are buying from you. So if there's a component that is static, when you have components, doesn't mean you can't edit it. Yeah, you can style it and what have you, but most times those branding makes it look as if you are redesigning the whole thing from the beginning. So if you start learning, you will start seeing that everything is a component, and the components that you are just going to be writing are the one that is actually tailored to the need of your clients. What you are writing are the ones specifically to the needs of your clients. It's highly recommended that you use as many components that you can get your hands on. Don't go and start building your own components, but you can do that for learning's sake. And again, reasons why you build your components are because maybe you can find it out there, or what you want to do is special. You can build your components, make it available for others, and then they use it. In terms of selling it, of course, components are for, you can sell components and you can make quite a lot of stuff from it if people see a need for that component to be there. I will send you again, the component thing depend on the